Good day, folks. Welcome back to Stuff and Such. Today we're making a video in regards to the new wood chipper that we just got about a week ago or so, and finally got it together Friday, I think it was. And anyways, I've been giving it some testing and I've been running into some troubles with it, and I wanted to kind of go over them a bit. I'll try not to be overly critical of the manufacturer in this video. Things could change on that front, but I'll just kind of lay out the facts as I currently see them, and we'll hear what Woodland has to say for themselves. So this wood chipper, on the website, it's saying it can chip an 8-inch diameter tree. It's saying minimum 35 horsepower. It's saying that if you want to chip those larger trees though, then you need 65 horsepower or more at minimum in order to accomplish these things. So that's kind of what it's promising. In reality, it's not coming anywhere close to those promises. The provided PTO shaft is a shear bolt design with a 5/16 shear bolt, grade 5. They say you can sometimes go to a grade 8, and I didn't see much difference. So we currently have about 3 hours of operation, maybe a bit more, but probably 3 hours of reasonable operation, heavier duty. And in that time, I'm probably on 15 shear bolts, give or take. There was the original, there was the extra 2 provided, they got eaten up. I bought 7 more grade 8 bolts, they're all gone. And now I'm back to grade 5, which is just a regular bolt that I have kicking around in my bolt bins. So I've been eating up those too. So now we're probably like over $20 worth of shear bolts. Which I guess leads me to believe that the PTO shaft that they provided in no way would ever actually hold up to their claim of holding 65 horse for the larger stuff. It's hard to really say. Like, it's hard to pick one problem. They're all connected, but they're all somewhat separate. So there's the PTO side shaft that's perhaps if it wasn't a shear bolt design and it was a slip clutch, it'd be a bit better. Being that it's connected on this one, on this 810, the flywheel is now connected directly to the PTO shaft again, whereas the WC88, they went to a 2-to-1 ratio, and they did that through a series of belts, which would provide cushioning. So when logs are hitting the flywheel, you're not getting that shock. You're kind of getting a little bit of ability to stretch the belts a little bit. So maybe if they provide a slip clutch PTO, a few of the problems will be eliminated. Currently the machine is stoved right up. It's all jammed right up, so I'm going to have to figure out how to this time is really bad. So I'm going to have to figure out how to get the chunk of wood that's currently in it, and I'll show you that later on. So the PTO shaft, we kind of covered that. It's too small. So that's not going to work. Next thing is the design of when they've went from the WC88, they went to this design as the supposedly better, and I kind of almost wonder if it's worse. It feels like there wasn't very much research and development done on this, and it sucks that now I'm kind of having to fight with it, and even it sucks that I need to actually think about it, because that's how my brain works. I lay up late at night, I research, I learn about pumps, I learn about pressure compensating valves, I learn about how hydraulic motors work, and so then I shouldn't have to be thinking about it. Where was my thoughts? Oh yeah, so the WC88 has the flywheel, it spins at 1100 RPM, and I think they did that to try and get the wind speed to blow the material out the chute. But by doing that, they created twice the kinetic energy by having that flywheel spinning that fast. And anyone who sort of has any hands-on with anything, if you run a chainsaw and you turn it off and you just have no engine started and you try and drag it across the wood with the brake on, you can feel it chunk, 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 chunk. But if it's spinning faster, it doesn't have that grab. So that's a bit off topic but that comes down to the 810, they doubled the amount of cutters in it. Stop. So for every revolution, it's taking twice as much bite, and they're very aggressive bites. And the PTO shaft can't handle that. It can't. If it was limited, and I'm considering it, if I take out half the blades that are currently on the flywheel, it may make it less aggressive, because right now the aggressive nature of this flywheel spinning at a slower speed, it's a really compounding issue that I don't think would be seen in the WC88, because you have that speed, you have that kinetic energy, and you have half the amount of teeth. So hopefully I kind of brought that in full circle. Which then comes to the Infeed roller side, and it's two problems. One, in my opinion, it's engineered dangerously, coupled with this flywheel. Because how it's working, I'll bring you over so you can kind of understand. But before I do that, imagine just like a canning jar or a syringe where you can make a vacuum, so you can suck on a tube, pull it, and you'll see it. Like if you take a syringe and you pull it, you'll see it pop back down because there's a vacuum in it. Let's go over to the design over here. So the way this thing operates is that when you put it in forward, it comes out of this hose into this in port on the pressure compensating valve, which I'm not 100% sure if it's operating correctly. Something's not working right, and which is another issue that makes me kind of mad, but we'll come back to that. So it comes in here, comes out through here, drives the motor around, and then it comes out this one and then dumps into the return valve, into the return system. And how that works, so it's pressurized on this hose coming out of the in from the valve, but then on this side there's no pressure. It's just it's not quite atmospheric pressure, but basically in comparison to the 1500 or 1500 psi that's likely in this system. So what happens is that this flywheel grabs the chunk of wood and yanks it, and it rotates the Infeed drum so hard that it's actually creating a cavitational vacuum inside the pressure size hose. It can't stop it because there's no pressure on the outside of the motor. So because you can't compress fluid, but you can compress air and you can vacuum air. So it's creating a vacuum inside the line, and you can see it sometimes. It'll rotate so hard in the forward direction, like overspeed itself, that when the log eventually kicks out into the flywheel, the infeed roller will actually spin backwards for about this far as it catches back up to the vacuum that's sucking back on it. I don't really know a better way to design it, and it's not my job. I could think of something eventually, but it needs to be controlled on the output line of this motor. Otherwise there's no control, no true control over the motor. If it's not a captured motor where it's controlled by the outlet of the fluid, you have no harnessed power. You can push. It's kind of like pushing a car up to a cliff and then be like, oh, it fell off the cliff. Well, maybe you should have held the car back from the cliff. That's kind of how it's operating. But maybe the WC88 with the higher flywheel speed coupled with the less teeth, maybe it wasn't as grabby and much of an issue. I've yet to see any video and I've never seen a video from Woodland either, where they have put this machine on something with any sort of horsepower. Whether it's on purpose or not, we'll hear from them. But it seems like it's awfully convenient that it's always coupled to like a 20-30 horsepower Kubota, which to me seems a little suspicious. It's like putting a Ford Ranger on a tri-axle trailer and be like, oh well, the trailer's probably good, but we'll pretend. Anyways, get out of there. Don't touch the camera. So that basically concludes most of the issues. As for, I don't know what's exactly happening. I don't have enough information on this particular valve body, or either the clearances or the pressure relief valve, if there is one in that thing, are not up to snuff and it's able just to bypass out the roller or out this line here, the return line. Because what's happening is you'll get a stick started and then it encounters enough pressure from the wood that it can't overcome it, so then you're running over to the valve and you're giving a little more and then a little less, a little more, a little less, and a little more. So you're constantly fighting with that thing. But in the true operation of how they're supposed to work, they're supposed to always basically, it maintains flow and increases pressure as you need more flow to keep up with flow. So basically it's designed to run a motor, but it's not running the motor right. I've deadheaded the pump, so the pump makes pressure. I've had this motor stuck and this wide open, and it wouldn't deadhead the pump. So I'm not sure why. Not sure why that's happening. I've turned up the pressure in the bottom, in the valve body in the bottom. Didn't make any difference. So it's very frustrating. Very frustrating. I don't want to be overly critical. I want to give Woodland a chance to sort of make things right. But it's hard to not be frustrated when you can see the obvious engineering, will be kind and say oversights. Yeah. So I'll show you the chunk of wood that broke the last shear bolt. So that's what currently sheared the bolt. Now I realize it looks big, but that's actually a fat butt. It's not even at the full size yet. Like, how do I show that to you? Like, my fingers can curl around the back side. So it's only about a 5-inch spruce, which, as you can see, it's that's the width of my hand, and it's almost as high. So my hand's about 4.5, 5 inches. So we're a long ways away from the projected capabilities of this thing. And currently, right now, I can't back it off the flywheel. The flywheel's so jammed. So anyways, I'm going to sign off now. If you have one, I'd like to chat with you and see what your experiences have been. If you have the WC88 or the WC66, or 68 rather, it'd be interesting to compare notes. I have seen a fair amount of videos with people that, or not even videos, but just even people on the Woodland community page that are quite content with their chipper. So obviously something happened between that model and this one. So I'll keep in touch with everyone. As soon as I hear any information and Woodland reaches out, I'll let you all know where we are with that sort of thing. So I'll shoot a follow-up video after I hear back from Woodland, see what they're willing to do. I don't really want to send it back, but I'm kind of really disappointed I spent any more money than the WC88 to get nothing. I feel kind of cheated on that a bit. Anyways, we'll get back to y'all. Get back to all your fun, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.